Hey, ma'am, how are you? Bama Maid says, I'm good. Had an obnoxiously early day today. I I went to bed around 5 last night, or this morning. I read for maybe 15 minutes before I started drifting off and having dreams that I was tacking on to what I was reading that had nothing to do with what I was reading. So when I finally dropped the phone, I did put it on the nightstand, plugged it in, and slept until almost 7 this evening. And I don't feel any better. I thought maybe sleeping a nice long time would help, but yeah, I don't know. Season changes are really, really physically difficult for me. And it can't decide what the hell temperature it wants to be. So how was your day? And how early was it? She says, I usually start nodding off and my thumb will hit the screen and I wind up with really long highlighted sections. I accidentally highlight stuff all the time. I think, for some, I just have my finger close to the screen because I'm getting ready to turn the page. And the next thing I know, and she's, I was up around 7. Oldest had to go to school for an assessment test thingy at 8, so I had to be up early. Ugh. Well, I finally figured out Anya's schedule. She has to physically go to school Mondays and Wednesdays. And then the rest of the days of the week, she just has to be logged in. At this point, it doesn't matter if she's paying attention or if she's asleep, but she has to be logged in to get credit. As long as she gets her work done, her teachers don't care. And I was disappointed to find out that she ended up having to drop her Latin class that she was so excited about because the Latin one, all of the level 1 of all of the foreign languages are at the junior high, and it's on the same campus, but it's a far enough walk that she can't get there and then get back to her building in time. And she could have in theory done it all online, but the software they use for the foreign language classes, she can't get to work on her laptop, which is a school laptop, but she can't get it to work, so she's disappointed. And I'm disappointed. I thought it was so cool that she wanted to take Latin. Bama Mate said, I have my Kindle app set to continuous scroll, so I have highlighted pages and pages. I never really have considered setting it on scroll. I always just have, flip to the page. Maybe I should try that and see if I like it. Robo says, ooh, pretty yarn. Yes, I love this. And I don't know where I put the the label, but it's from Mountain Colors, who has they have lovely yarn that my yarn shop has carried for a while. And apparently the roving is new, and it is a blend of Targhee, bamboo, and silk, which I've spun the blend before, and I really like it. And I saw this and went, ooh, it was a little pricey, a little more than what I usually spend for roving, especially since I can dye it my own damn self. And I could have dyed these colors, but oh, it was so pretty and so squishy. And they had a couple of other colorways I might have to go back and try. Well, it does kind of match what I'm wearing. And I just realized as I'm drafting it, it's hard for me to see. Because while it looks, because of the way I have my little light, see if I can, my little light bounced off the wall, you can see the spinning wheel. But where I'm sitting, just a foot or two away, it's nowhere near as bright. And I'm like, it's really hard to see this yarn against my dress. And Boma Mate said, oh no, yeah, we got the school laptop for oldest because we had to. We haven't been able to get her to work at the house at all. I haven't been able to get it to work. Well, the laptop that she had last year for school, she had all kinds of trouble with, and she couldn't get her emails to send to her teachers, and so they swapped it out, and it wasn't the one she got second, wasn't a whole lot better. So what's the point of the schools having all of these netbooks for the kids to use if, they don't work? She's got a perfectly good laptop of her own. Why can't she use her own laptop? But she can't. She can't send or receive emails from the school on her personal laptop. Yeah, she's got a really nice laptop that a friend of mine gave to her. It's like, oh, I'm jealous. It's got a touch screen. But it was no longer able to play the games my friend wanted to play. So she bought a gaming desktop similar to the one I have now and gave Anya. She's like, when Anya first moved here, she was like, I've been sorting through some things. I'm going to bring them up and she can have whatever she wants out of it. And amongst it was this nice laptop. Knots and Stitches said, I should have stayed up to watch the end of your stream last night. Oh, well, I'm trying to, I can't remember at what point you left. But basically the rest of it was me making mistake after mistake after mistake on my mitt. And ending up having to rip a bunch of it out. Because I ended up with an extra stitch and I couldn't figure out where it was. And I couldn't just, work around it. I couldn't just decrease it because it was obvious. It was, but I did finish knitting those mitts. Just a little while ago. And I thought about starting another pair with some other yarn. But then I thought, you know what, I need to spin. Because apparently the brain state I'm in just lately, I can't knit and talk at the same time. But I'm glad you're here now. Robo said, I should have too. I stayed up like an extra hour after the break, LOL. I just couldn't sleep. And Knots and Stitches said, hubby got called into work at what would have been about 3:30 a.m. for you. Aww. Yeah, I ended up being here until about 3:15 because this whole slew of new people came in. And well, I don't know if they just came in or if they had been lurking and then just decided to chat, but some people I hadn't talked with before, and it was fun. We got into some deep stuff. I think we were talking about public school education at that point. And I ended up staying like an extra 15 or 20 minutes. Bama Maid said apparently the laptop worked when she was at the school today for the assessment, so she uses her laptop at the house. Well, I'm glad that she can use her laptop at the house. I wish I wish ours worked that way. Robo said the school laptop has the ability to log into their system, which lets them put their software on it with a general license. Random laptops would be a security issue, and they wouldn't be able to download the software needed. Well, that makes sense. But it's still a problem that, the kids take the laptops home and then they don't do what they're supposed to do. I can understand the security issues. But, yeah, it needs to be able to do what it's meant to do, or it's useless in the long run. Robo said it sucks, don't get me wrong. Yeah, yeah, it does. It's very frustrating for her. But unlike last spring when she was trying, to do all of her classes from home and the teachers were overwhelmed and undertrained in that regard and everything, at least now they sort of have everything under control, and she does have 2 days a week that she physically goes to school, so they can get stuff worked out more easily. Although I'm nervous about her going to school, riding the bus and going to school and stuff. But so far so good. Bama Maid said the teacher told her it's fine for her to use her laptop at home. As long as the school laptop works when she needs it, I'm okay. Knots and Stitches says I'm going into lurk mode now. Alrighty. Well, pop back in anytime you want, but feel free to lurk. Lurking is always welcome. Hi, honey bunny. You look tired. How was work? Oh. And it was crazy busy on a Monday? What's the matter with people? Well, I hope you actually get tomorrow off.
Perhaps. It's kind of scary there right now because they've been running on half crew since July and the cooks are burning out.
Yeah.
I would not be surprised if most of the cooks quit in the next 2 weeks.
Wow.
And it would be down to just like me and Jody. I'm not going to quit, but Justin, Josh, Judy.
So why aren't people applying?
I don't know, but we just can't seem to get anybody. We got this meeting coming up on the 5th,
and it's actually a decent place to work for a cook. Usually.
Not right now, but
yeah.
it can be, yeah. Yeah, but just the tensions are running so high. All it's going to take is one bad night, and half the remaining crew is going to quit because they're trying to operate as if nothing is wrong. And meanwhile, in the back, all the cooks are doing the job of 2 cooks. And again, I'm not planning on leaving, but for most people, say you get paid $13 an hour, you could go to a different restaurant that's running smoother and work 1 station for the same amount of money. You're in this absolute shit show trying to run 2 stations for the same amount of money.
Ugh.
Yeah. So.
Well, something that has crossed my mind is once the weather turns and people can't sit outside, you guys aren't going to be as busy.
Well, but we're already at 50%. We'll probably open to 100% on the inside, so that'll make up for it.
But when?
I don't know.
Because I haven't heard anything about 100% yet. So anyway. Yeah.
Okay. I love you.
I love you. Yeah, so things are stressful at work for Honey Bunny right now. Robo says, a lot of schools are trying to switch to online compatible programs so anything with a browser will function. I think that would be better. And I like that the schools provide laptops because a lot of kids don't, not every kid has a family that's affluent enough for them to be able to have a laptop. And there are whole school systems of kids who live at poverty levels who could never have a laptop, and their family couldn't justify it. And it's awesome that the schools can provide that. but things need to be functional. So if they can provide them with the netbook and then they can do their work over a browser, that would work better. Hey, birding mom. Yeah, waves at Honey Bunny. Hope things get better. Yeah, see, I don't know. They have been short-staffed for cooks, what he just said, since July. I don't know why people aren't applying. You know, I mean, typically, as far as restaurants go, this is a good one to be a cook. And the pay's decent as far as the industry goes. And, you know, so I don't know. I don't know if that's an artifact of COVID. Birding Mom said, here the local Taco Bells and Starbucks are seeing an upswing in school kids using their Wi-Fi. I bet. There was a meme going around on Facebook for a while of two kids sitting outside of a Burger King using the Wi-Fi to do their... Because, you know, not every family can afford Wi-Fi. You know, and it also occurs to me, you know, how many people are, younger people especially, don't even have computers. They do all of their internet stuff on their phone. You know, and that's a lot more functionality than the computer I had when I was first on the internet on AOL with dial-up, the 5060. I think I started out with a 28K modem, you know, and now if you've got a smartphone, you can do way more than I could do with that computer. Robo said restaurants are terrifying at the moment with the waves generally. Not necessarily staff though. It's more the customers coming in and spreading it around. You know, as they had one, you know, on where my husband works, there was one cook that had a possibly whatever, but he tested negative and came back to work. They haven't had anybody, well, in our whole county, you know, the number of cases have been very low. I don't expect that to last, because it seems like now it's moving through areas that are more rural and were not hit hard before. But yeah, I'm not going to, you know, it's like some friends of mine recently invited me to go to lunch, and I'm like, no, thank you. Not going to any restaurants yet. If I do, I'm getting carry out. Ordering ahead, picking it up, bringing it home. Said, you know, if you guys want to get takeout and go to a park or something, that'd be fine. But I don't trust this enough to go to a restaurant and eat. Bama Maid said, our school has been using Google Classroom, at least in school, for a couple of years now. This was just the first year they'd had the computers for all the students. You know, I should look into that. I've heard mention of Google Classroom, but I don't know anything about it. She says, and since they were back ordered and brought in waves, the kids who could stay home but had limited computer access got highest priority for the units, which helped a lot. Yeah. And she says, I've noticed some of the places locally with Wi-Fi available give students access. So even our hotels will give students their guest passwords to access internet. That's so cool. See, that's communities pulling together. Bookworm said, hello, I found this and wanted to share. It's a link. Okay, I'll take a peek. Oh, that's pretty. Thank you for sharing. So that looks like it's like probably fillet crochet, right? I'll look at bigify the picture. Oh, come on, computer. I guess it's not going to. Ooh, if you follow the link, there's a bunch of pretty shawls. Very cool. I'm gonna have to bookmark that page. Thank you so much. I love shawls. I don't knit very many of them. Bookworm says, lovely yarn you're spinning tonight. Thank you. I like it very much. I can't remember what the name of it was. Probably like berries or something. But it's lovely. Where are we? Boy, my eyes are not wanting to focus tonight. Bama Maid said, we had 2 confirmed cases at the school before school even started, and 1 confirmed case since school started. Then I went in with oldest today to check in for the test, and 2 of the ladies up front had the mask below their freaking noses. What is the matter with people? Do they not breathe through their nose? Oh my God. Saturday, we had twice as many people as the previous Saturday because, they're having the vendor market Saturdays here in town. Twice as many people as the previous Saturday, which was more than twice as many as the Saturday before. And this woman comes up to the counter wearing this just absolutely gorgeous mask made from lace. I'm like, what the fuck, lady? It was pretty. It's not doing anybody a bit of good. Absolutely beautiful. Absolutely non-functional as far as I could tell. So yeah, they're having, I don't know that I'd call that an outbreak at the school, but 3 cases so far is worth paying attention to, and they don't care enough to wear their mask properly. What the hell, people? Birdie Mom said, nice, so delicate. Bookworm said, it is something that I want to make in the future, or you can knit in a shawl. Yeah, and it's, I've done some fillet crochet in the past, like with the cotton thread doily kind of stuff. And it's easy. It's just, double crochets and chains. Bookworm said, I kind of want to make it in many different colors, solid color shawls. Oh, yeah. Yeah. You could have a whole rainbow full of butterfly shawls. Bookworm says, put that lace on a solid colored mask, make pretty functional. Yes. Yeah, that'd be gorgeous. I don't know what's the matter with people. Knots and Stitches said most of the families here who are jumping on to send their kids back to the schools are the ones who need childcare so the parents can go to work. The schools with the poorest kids have the most students in the classroom. And you know what? And that absolutely makes sense. Because not everybody can afford to have a parent stay home with their kids. See, if this had happened during my childhood, when most families had a stay-at-home mom, I think things would be really different. There wouldn't be any great rush to send the kids back to school. Now, my stepdaughter has to go the 2 days a week because of her IEP. She has needs that they couldn't figure out how to meet when she was doing everything over the computer. And she's okay with going. She didn't want to go every day, but she's okay with going the 2 days. And she just, a couple of days ago, got a promotion and a raise. And she's working her hiney off. She's been washing dishes nearly full time at the restaurant where Honey Bunny works for the last year. And but every once in a while they'd pull her if they needed somebody on expo. And if you've never worked in a restaurant and you don't know what that means, the expo is the person who makes sure that everything on the ticket is on the plate. So you don't have quite as many wait staff coming back yelling, "Where's my ranch?" You know, although they still do that. Um, so the expo is responsible for making sure that everything is on the plates before the wait staff pick them up and take them to the table. And they've been having her do that, and she's from time to time, because they've been short staffed since July, and so the other day they asked her if she wants to do that. Not nearly full time. She'll be 4 days a week, and they gave her $1 an hour raise. She's making more money at 19 than I'm making now. Plus going to school full time. She doesn't get enough sleep. Bum and Maid said, my masks are mesh, but you can't see through the mesh, if that makes sense. I swear they were bra cups in a past life. Yeah, we could use bra cups. I've got, plenty of bras that the underwires have broken, or, the elastic is shot or whatever. The cups are fine. They could be masks. Bookworm Lover said, I've seen someone make a mask with lace on top that are like designer masks. And that'd be gorgeous. And I've seen designer masks on the internet that were beautiful. I'm thinking about maybe making some out of hand spun hand woven fabric, and then lined with something that wouldn't itch on your face. And but see, I wonder what if people would pay what that's worth. But I might make a few and offer them up for sale and see what happens. Bumma Maid said, congrats, yay, promotions are exciting. Yeah, she's making more money than me. she's making more an hour than I. Of course, she works a lot harder than I do. My job is cushy. Birding Mom said, oh yeah, in the 80s we would have the care pods that my friends are forming, where a few families would rotate care, but now both parents have to work. Yeah. Bookworm said, LOL, I hope they are well washed. Bama Maid would hate to smell someone else's boob sweat. That's for sure. And I've been seeing lately a lot of people wearing the masks with the valve. But I keep reading on the internet that they don't recommend masks with valves. Because that's letting stuff in or letting stuff out. I can't remember which way they work. Am I using a different spinning hook thingamabob? I mean, on the flyer? No, this is the same one I always use on this wheel. I did just move from this hook to this hook, but it's the same mechanism as always on this. Bookworm says, it looks more syrupy white than usual. I'm not sure what you mean. You mean when it's spinning and the way it blurs? That might just be the way the light's hitting it tonight. because I never set up the same way twice when I spin on stream. I should make, marks on the floor with tape. No, I think it's just the way the light's hitting it. Birding Mom said, my friend posted a pic of her kid's volleyball ref. He had a mask with a pocket for his whistle. It looked like it belonged on a fetish site. A friend of mine who plays bassoon in an orchestra, they are getting ready to start their season. And so they're all having to figure out ways to wear a mask and play their instrument at the same time. So she bought and I don't know how to pronounce it, hijab, the Middle Eastern face covering that's sort of like you'd wear the scarf to cover your head and hair, and then the veil, it's like a veil over your face. So, and it has to be black. So she bought a couple of black ones, and she's experimenting with cutting slits in them for her mouthpiece to go through. She's been posting pictures on Facebook. It's been kind of hilarious. Bauman Maid said, oh my God, was it a Y front mask like a tidy whiting mask? That'd be hilarious. Birding Mom said, look up Fox 40 whistle mask. Okay, I'm gonna. I didn't even all I had typed was Fox 40 and it came right up. Whistle mask. Oh my God. It's like looks like a willy wormer. That's too funny. Yeah, Bookworm Lover, I think what you're just seeing, the light is just reflecting at a different angle, and the hooks are apparently really shiny for some reason tonight. Birding Mom said she snuck a picture. She said she was giggling so hard she was crying. Bookworm asked, what is this yarn destined to be? Would be gorgeous as just about everything. Scarf, cowl, mitts, hat, shawl. I'm thinking I might weave a scarf out of it because I need scarves. And in particular at the Weaver's Cabin, we have tons and tons of scarves. Made by various volunteers, but we have a lot of neutral colors, and neutral sells very well, but it doesn't draw a person's eye to the display. So I'm thinking we need some brighter colors intermixed, and then that will draw the eye. People will go look at the scarves, and then once they get over there, they'll buy whichever they like. Bauman Maid said, I would have died any time he blew the whistle and drew my attention. Yes! Bookworm says, yes, please, maybe on stream. Well, if I do it on the Rigid Heddle Loom, now I had thought maybe I could figure out how to stream from the Guild Loom, but I don't have the Guild Loom anymore. It went back to the Guild. In order to stream on my big loom upstairs, I would have to move the computer and everything upstairs. Either that or stream from the laptop, and some of us remember how unreliable that was. It would just, on a whim, would just drop the stream. But if I use the Rigid Heddle Loom, I might be able to figure it out. So, in this particular scarf, I would probably just do plain weave on the Rigid Heddle Loom anyway. So that I might be able to make that work. And there was another colorway of this that was teals and turquoises, and I think that'd make a lovely scarf too. And to be absolutely honest, especially given what I paid for this roving, my profit margin on a scarf made from, hand painted roving is better than my profit margin if I make mitts or a hat. So it really would behoove me to make more scarves out of hand spun. Birding Mom said it was a junior high game and none of the kids thought it was funny, but the football coach walked in, went wide-eyed, and had to leave quickly. He was laughing so hard. Now, see, I would think junior high kids would think that'd be the first thing they'd think. What's the matter with kids these days? Bookworm says, oh, what about a blue and green sparkly yarn? That would look great and eye-catching. I would have to... Well, I could start with sparkle sock yarn and dye it in those colors and then weave it. If I'm going to do it in hand spun, I probably would have to dye the yarn and blend it and spin it. That's a possibility. Bauman Maid said, I bet that coach was like, Lord, don't let the admin see that and make me wear one. Bookworm said, or like, if the warp was blue and green tonal and the weft was purple tonal, peacock color scarf, that's a possibility. Mama Maid said, nah, my oldest is younger, end of junior high, and she wouldn't understand why mom and dad can't look at that rough anymore. See, by the time I was in the 6th grade, maybe because we were all military kids or something, all raised by sailors. Bookworm said, my favorite song, Tetris. Mama Maid says, Tetris. Mama Maid says, other kids maybe, my kid not so much. Well, there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with being innocent for a little longer. Fiber Maid said, shawl is done and soaking. Woohoo! You are such a prolific knitter. I am always impressed with how much work you get done. Bookworm said maybe if it were higher grade, dirty minded college kid would laugh with the parents. A singer-songwriter I know has a song that's about a squirrel who can't remember where he hid all the nuts the fall before. And so, it's spring and he's scurrying all around, digging in the yard looking for the nuts that he buried. And the chorus is something about looking for my nuts, looking for my nuts. And when he goes into schools, he says, the kindergartners and the first graders are really into it. They're singing, looking for my nuts. He said, you get up to about the third grade and the kids are laughing so hard they can't sing. But maybe that's a regional thing. A birding mom said, I'm sure the high school kids would have gotten it. But junior high, especially this early in the year, has a lot of kids that weren't aged mentally, that haven't aged mentally. I suppose that's true. Bama Maid said, I am attempting to do a row of English style knitting. Let us know how that goes. Fiber Mage asked, were you in Boss Kitty stream? I was there for a little while. If you had something in show and tell, I missed it. I caught a little bit of show and tell. And then I was required in the kitchen. Bookworm said, I thought that would be something like that. Bama Maid said, my kids love the song My Ding-a-ling. Uh-huh. She said, I can barely breathe through that freaking song. Fiber Maid said, aw, sad day. Fiber Maid said, I showed off some sexy nudes. Well, I'll just have to go and look. I think I'm in her Discord. I'll just have to go look. Bama Maid said, I've survived through 6 whole stitches so far and haven't cursed yet. Yeah, but do you have a cramp in your face yet? See, I can never figure out how to hold my face. Boss Kitty. I am in Boss Kitties. Show and tell. Are we looking in show and tell? Okay, saw these. Scrolling. Boy, a lot of people's dinner. Scrolling. And scrolling some more. Oh, that's pretty. So that, I can't wait to see that after it's blocked, Fiber Mage. Knots and Stitches said anywhere from 3rd to 6th grade is when they start to understand the innuendo. Bookworm says, has your tongue made it out your mouth twisting with each stitch yet? See, that's how knitting English is for me. Fiber Mage said, me too. Yeah, that's really pretty. I'm drinking some bone broth. It's a little salty. Did I see the funny in the show and tell? I must have missed. Oh, his sexy nudes. You. Bama Maid said, I've now given up. It's too slow and my tension was even tighter than usual. Bama Maid said, yeah. Bama Maid said, I was hoping it would be super loose off the bat so I could use English style for color work. But no. Fiber Mage, your sense of humor always makes me giggle. I need to make some noodles. After an exhausting, I was going to say exhaustive, after an exhausting search of the internet, I found out how to make ramen noodles. I always knew that there was something called dough conditioner in the noodle dough, but I didn't know what that was. Turns out it's like a calcium carbonate sort of thing. And I think it might actually be calcium carbonate, and you can order it online. But you can also make it by baking baking soda. So I got a big box of baking soda that I'm going to bake. And I'm going to make me some, because I miss, of all the things to miss, I miss ramen. And I have found, I found rice ramen, and it is not ramen. And I'm hungry 10 minutes later. And I found now a different kind of rice ramen, that the noodles are purple. It's like royal something, royal rice something, but they had it at Target, and then they never had it at Target again. And I found it on Amazon for way too much. But I can make my own ramen from Spelt. So yay. I'll let y'all know how it goes. Bookworm says, don't lose hope yet. Just practice. Fiber Maid said, I had a bowl of ramen last night. It was so good. I miss ramen. I used to like to take ramen to work for lunch and just make it in a mug in the microwave. Bama Maid said, I'll keep it up, but not in this shawl. Nessa Gal says, hello, everyone. I'm just joining the stream. Well, welcome. Okay, you guys, don't scare them away. Now, we're spinning tonight, supposedly. And the conversation has been running all over the place. Oh no, that can still stay there. Fiber Maid said, oh, there's the timer for the shawl. I'll be back in a little bit. Alrighty. We'll see you when you get back. Bookworm said, be heard that some noodle makers use some sort of nut flour. Interesting process. I can make good chicken soup noodles. Bama Maid says, run while you still can. Nah, we're mostly harmless. Mostly. You know, and speaking of ramen noodles, this slightly too salty bone broth would make excellent ramen broth. I will chase it with my London Fog. It dawned on me that I've been drinking way too much coffee lately. So, London Fog sounded good. Bookworm Mass doing a detox. No, I just need collagen in my life. I have a lot of connective tissue issues. And it's good for your gut besides. London Fog, which is Earl Grey tea and milk. Slightly sweetened. Some people put a little dash of vanilla in it, but I don't. Bama Maid said, I once found a knitting video. The lady doing the tutorial was, here's how you do the thing in English, and here's continental, and here's left-handed, and she did it all. Wow. Bama Maid said goals. Yep. Nessa says, thank you. I'm working on a crochet blanket right now. It's my first project. All right. Grats on your first project. Feel free to go over to the Discord, to my Discord, and post pictures if you like. Bama Maid said, yay, if you're on Discord, we love seeing projects. Yep. And there's the link to the Discord. Birding Mom said, put some lavender in your London Fog. That sounds delightful. I'm trying to think about it. If I had any, I don't have any lavender, dried lavender. I could put a little, like a drop of lavender essential oil on the tea bag, though. At the local coffee shop, Wonder Bar, the local coffee shop, sometimes they have lavender syrup that you can request. And rose syrup. They're lovely. Bookworm said, I recently heard of moon milk. Want to try that? What's moon milk? Birding Mom said, okay, I have to be in an appointment at 7 a.m. tomorrow. Well, boo on all these early morning appointments. And I had one at 8 a.m. this morning, so I'm dead. Is this still all stuff you have to get done before you make the trip? Just so I'm going to bed. Have a good stream. Well, thank you for coming in and hanging out with us. Sleep well. Hope the appointment is if not good, at least, at least everything's okay. And we'll see you. And I saw your post on Facebook about the flying saucer. That was very cool. Not Facebook, Instagram. So we'll see you later, Birding Mom. Knots and Stitches said, I cast on a sock for me. We'll see if I can make it fit me. I have a formula that I keep threatening to share on Discord. I need to do that one of these times. Can I attach files in Discord so I could attach a PDF or a JPEG or something and you guys could download it? Yeah. Good night, Birdie Mom. We love you. Knots and Stitches says, y'all eat and drink some weird things. Yeah, I'm an old hippie. Tree hugging dirt worshiper sort of thing. But around, I think it was around Mother's Day, they had a special coffee drink at the coffee shop that had the it was, I don't remember if it was a mocha or a latte that had rose syrup in it. It was so good. And rose is very good for women's issues. So, put some rose petals on your salad. Bookworm said, I went to the little mom and pop shop and they had a steamer that I could add cupcake flavor to. So good. You know what? In the wintertime, I get and a steamer basically is steamed milk. It's all frothy, and typically it'll have a flavor in it. And I usually get almond flavor, but I have to make it very clear when I order it that I want a milk latte with almond flavor, because more than once I've gotten wherever I was going and turned out my latte was an almond milk latte or an almond milk steamer. No, I didn't want steamed almond milk. I want milk. I want almond flavor in it. Because for some reason, in the cold weather, that just tastes so good to me. Mama Maid said, you can do it, Knots and Stitches. Try it on often and have fun. Mama Maid said, message Birdie Mom about how she posted the stuff for the Advent Swap. Oh, yeah. Bookworm says, Moon Milk is on Pinterest. I have not intentionally been on Pinterest in such a long time. It is such a time sink for me. I've been wasting way too much time on Facebook instead these days. Although Pinterest would probably be safer. I wouldn't have to endure all the political nonsense. Bookworm says, Starbucks white hot chocolate is delish. Oh, I don't get to Starbucks very often. I have to drive a ways to get to Starbucks, and there's a fabulous little mom and pop coffee shop. Well, it's not really mom and pop. It's this one guy. It started out, some friends of mine opened it. They were a 30-something couple from Argentina, and opened this great little coffee shop with amazing ambiance. And after, 5 years or so, they decided that they were going to build out what's the Mercedes one? Anyway, one of those ginormous vans. They were going to build it out into a camper, and they were going to drive across the country and see where they stuck. And they ended up out in Oregon somewhere. But so they sold it to the guy who was their chef. And so now he had, first another, the chef guy bought out the food part, and a former employee bought out the coffee part. But then after a year or two, the coffee lady got bored and sold the coffee part to the chef. So now he's got the whole thing. And not that any of you cared about any of that drama, but it's like 2 blocks from my house, and it's fabulous. I like Starbucks a lot. Wonder Bar is better than Starbucks, I think. And my husband, who's from Seattle, agrees. Bookworm said, if you like matcha, they also have a great matcha latte. I don't know that I'm that. And I mean, if somebody handed me a matcha latte, I'd drink it and enjoy it. but it's not the first thing I think of to order. Bama Maid said, I don't get coffee at Starbucks. It always tastes burnt. Their beans are very, very, very well roasted. But see, I don't mind that. I don't mind a really dark roast. Baba Maid said, so I get the not good for me coconut milk drinks. Ooh. Bookworm said, and a vanilla bean frappuccino. And then says, if you can't tell, I love sweet drinks. Sometimes Starbucks are a little too sweet. But my go-to drink is a mocha. I love a good mocha. And in the summertime, Wonder Bar will frappe just about any of their drinks for you. They just put it in the blender with ice cubes, and there you go. And the mocha, I call them fraps. Give me a mocha frap. Mocha fraps are divine, and the chai frap is very good. But I always think, well, I could do the chai frap at home. We got a Vitamix. It'll grind up the ice cubes. Knots and Stitches said, I'm drinking watermelon mint tea. Well, that sounds interesting. Baba Maid said, now see, once again, I'm not getting any work done. I'm just talking with y'all. Baba Maid said, there is a small local coffee shop with homemade Pop-Tarts that are absolutely sinful, and I can drink their cold brew black. It's so smooth. Cold brew, now just keep in mind, has the highest caffeine content of anything you'll find in a coffee shop. Most people think like, espresso is going to be the high. No, espresso has a lower caffeine content because the water doesn't spend very long in contact with the coffee grounds. Slow brew takes its time and soaks up lots of caffeine. So I would have to be careful. I'm sure I would love cold brew, but I'd only be able to have a little teeny tiny bit because I get so wound up. Baba Maid said, ooh, watermelon mint. She says, I'd rather just have it over ice. Don't make me wait for the blender. I'm impatient. Oh, but I like it. It's like a mocha smoothie or a mocha milkshake. High octane mocha milkshake. Knots and Stitches says cold brew is easy to make at home. And a lot of any coffee shop and any particular drink is the type of beans. The origin of the beans and how they were roasted. And, like Bama Maid said, a lot of people find Starbucks coffee to taste kind of burnt. It's because the beans are roasted really dark. Bama Maid said, yes, I know. My problem with if they just ice the coffee, just pour it over ice, like 3 or 4 slurps and it's gone. And then all I have left is the ice cubes. I'm always surprised at the people who go into, a fancy dancy coffee shop like that and just order a cup of coffee. I'm like, what? Bookworm says, I like Javalia coffee. I've had Javalia coffee. A friend of mine had a membership back in the late 80s or early 90s. And when she would have more than she needed, she'd bring me the extra bags. So I drank that for a while. Bookworm says, but I'm a tea girl. I was a tea girl for many, many, many years. I didn't start drinking coffee at all until my very late 20s. I always liked the smell of coffee, but I didn't like the bitter taste. Um, but when I was working midnights, coffee became a thing. Which was in my late 20s. And I found that if I just had a little coffee with my milk, that mellowed it out enough. But I didn't like it sweet. It wasn't until I met my husband, and he'd make a pot of coffee, and he'd make up a big pitcher of coffee with a lot of cream and just a little sugar, or sometimes like a flavored creamer, which, those are kind of plastic, but I know some people love them. I find them to be kind of plasticky, like Cool Whip. I'll eat Cool Whip, but I'll tell you the whole time how it tastes plasticky. Bookworm said, found a cranberry apple tea that's divine, and it's such a pretty color. I like when teas are pretty colored. You know what? I miss Teavana. I'm sad that Teavana is no longer Teavana. Because, I can no longer... They have a few of their blends that you can buy in stores like in Target and stuff. But not the blends that I want. Hey there, Beanie Bird. How are ya? Bookworm said would make a great dye. You could experiment with that. Robo said passed out on the couch, so boyfriend has kicked me off to bed. Alrighty. Go get some sleep, and we will see you later. Beanie says, doing good, just relaxing. Are you working on any projects these days? How are things out where you are? Are you streaming at all? I haven't seen you on my Live Now list in a while. Bama Maid said, I've been seeing lots of good things from T2 for tea. Beanie says, not really, just been moving. Moving to a different dwelling or moving to a different geographical area? Bookworm says, I plan on buying a bobbin of cream yarn that has speckled bits and overdye with the tea. Cool. Let us know how that goes. Beanie says, yeah, I moved in with my grandparent who lived a little from me because they needed help. Well, that's cool. I hope that works out really well for you. Hyper Zen Girl says, the spinning looks like it's going well. It is. I had not worked on this since the end of TDF 2.0, whatever we were calling it. And because I had knitting, I felt like I needed to get going on. Last night knitting was not going so well. My brain was just so out of sorts. So I thought maybe it'd be a good night to do some spinning. Because spinning seems to go okay even if my brain is out of sorts. And how are you tonight, Hyper Zen Girl? Nessa said, posted a picture of my project in the Discord if anyone is interested. Absolutely interested. Whoops, gotta get in my Discord. Oh, very pretty. And that's your first project. Very nice. Excellent, excellent work. Bama Maid said, ooh, hubby has given me the all clear to lurk around and look for a loom. All right. Keep me posted. Let me know if you have any questions. Hyper Zen Girl said, just got done meeting with my in real life turned Zoom knot and crochet club. My local yarn shop is still doing all of her groups and things by via Zoom. They're all at times when I can't participate though, so which is no different than usual. All the groups are at times I can't participate. Bama Maid said, so I'm going to be creeping all the Craigslist and Facebook markets. Bama Maid, if you are still doing Ravelry, watch the Warped Weavers Marketplace also. That's where I ended up finding my loom. Nessa said, thank you. Well, you're welcome. Absolutely. Hyper Zen Girl says, knot equals knit. I figured so, but knot works as well. Bookworm Lover said, I'm planning on getting some either Red Heart or Lion Brand yarn. It's called Hot Sauce. I want to make a shrug with it. Cool. Somebody last night, and now I've already forgotten who. Wait, I can find out. Oh wait, I think it was in Works in Progress. Nope, I'm wrong. Maybe it was in... Huh. Oh wait, I know where it was. Pineapple Pixie! Pineapple Pixie posted a link to a Granny Square shrug that I think is very cool. And where'd it go? There it is. I'm gonna post. Now the blog it's on calls it a cardigan. I think it's a shrug myself. That I think I might have to make. I have not crocheted much apart from, you know, the scrappy blankets I'm working on, but I think this would be cool. Beanie says, I was finally able to get my drop spindle out of storage, going to start spinning again soon. Cool! How exciting. I had been spindling for a while and now just lately I haven't. I got this much done of a 5-ounce portion. Boy, that looks really washed out compared to this stuff that I'm working on right now. And actually, this is the same fiber content, I think. Oh wait, no. This was what I'm spinning tonight is Targi with bamboo and silk, and that was merino with bamboo and nylon. Okay, let's see, where was I? Bama Maid said, we'll have to do that because he is okay with both rigid heddle and floor. Get one of each. Bookworm says, what a lovely hubby. Yeah. Bama Maid said, I told him, I'm telling you this so you don't do the nice husband's thing and go off and find a loom and buy it without knowing anything like you did for the wheel. Yeah, but the wheel turned out, you know, everything turned out okay. And it's a good wheel. It just needed, you know, some, you know, a couple of $100 worth of parts made. Nessa says, I'm not sure how I need to block my blanket. I think I need to figure out how to because the sides of the blanket curl in, so that's annoying. Well, one thing you can do, I don't think I have ever blocked a blanket. With the zigzag pattern like you've done, I would just crochet, single crochet up both of the long sides, and that should help it lay flatter. Bama Maid said I would wet it and just spread it out to dry flat. Yeah, if it's acrylic yarn, you could run it through the washer and dryer, or run it through the washing machine and lay it out flat to dry if you have a big enough space. Yeah, Bama Maid said if your washer can do just a rinse and spin cycle, that works well for wet blocking blankets. She says otherwise, if you have a steamer, spread it out and use pins to hold it in shape and then steam it. If you use an iron, don't put the iron directly on the yarn because, but just hover over in the steam button. Hyper Zen Girl asks, what wheel did you end up with? Bama Maid said, I don't mind the antique tool needing some pieces, but I'm afraid he'd come home with a floor loom missing beams or the ratchet tension thingies or some other really major thing. Nessa says, thank you for the advice. You are welcome. There's a wealth of knowledge in this place here. Bama Maid said, the wheel is great now and it's working, but it could have gone completely opposite. Yeah, Hyper Zen Girl, it's a lovely antique Saxony, but it needed some parts. And it's gorgeous now and works and everything. But you know, when you're getting your first of something, it's better if it works, you know, immediately. Yeah, it's beautiful. So, Bama Maid, when you find stuff that you think you might be interested in, send me links, you know, and I'd be happy to give you an opinion and let you know, if I think it'll do, and think about what do you want to weave, because that can make a difference. Because like somebody who only wants to weave tea towels, and someone who only wants to weave heavy rugs might not be happy with the same loom. So knowing what you think you're going to want to do, and also knowing how much you're interested in spending are good things to know before you go into it. Bama Maid said it needed a flyer assembly, but he didn't know anything about what he was looking at. So could have just as easily wound up with a spinning wheel shaped object. And that's true. Epoite redeemed. Hydrate. Thank you. Bookworm asks, when will you knit socks on stream? That could be any time. I have a pair in progress right at the moment. I was just under the impression that people had gotten tired of watching me knit socks. So we could maybe do socks tomorrow night if not too many people groan at the thought of that. Nobody's groaning yet. Should I take that as a yay, cool? Bomba Maid said, for the rigid heddle, I told him straight up, Kromsky Harp 24-inch plus. I don't mind him getting that. Even told him which Etsy shop I use for the big things when I can't get it local. That's a really good choice. On a rigid heddle, I wouldn't go with the widest options necessarily, just because, you know, think about your arm span and how much leaning and bending you're going to have to do to reach to get that shuttle from one side to the other. I think 24 is, if I were to get another rigid heddle, I would get a 24-inch, and I'd get either the Kromsky Harp or the Ashford one that folds up. And I'm unsure whether I would get the stand. I don't have a stand for my Cricut. I usually just lean it up against something, you know, have one end in my lap and the other end leaning on something. For a wider rigid heddle, I think I might go with a stand. And the stands can cost as much as the looms, so keep that in mind. But, you know, think about where are you gonna be sitting when you weave on this loom? You know, if there's gonna be a table or a counter of some sort it can lean against. Baba Maid said 24-inch should be fine. I like the Kromsky because it folds and has a built-in warping board on the back and comes with the pegs. Well, it doesn't hurt that it's pretty. I like all of Kromsky's stuff. I have a couple of their spinning wheels on my bucket list. And she says it has this one peg to clamp for direct warp, but that warping board would come in handy for more than just warping. Hyper Zen Girl said, I like their nitty knotties. They're all of their stuff is so pretty. I had an opportunity several years ago at the Maryland Sheep and Wool Festival. I stumbled into their booth and spun on the Polonaise for a little while, and the world around me ceased to exist. It was all of my wheels have fairly clunky personalities because they're all kind of old. With the exception of the Road Bug, it's not old, but it still has quite a personality. The spinning on that Polonaise was like, it was just smooth and effortless and amazing. And I would not have been surprised if when I looked up 100 years had gone by. I need one of those. But I knew I wanted a Polonaise before that. Just spinning on it made me absolutely certain that it's more than a want. And I also like, I think it's the newest of their wheels, and it's a slanty, but it's got a bigger drive wheel. So it's and I can't remember what it's called. I think it starts with an I. Interlude, maybe? I want that one. Bomba Maid said, and I kind of want to weave all the things, but mostly I would love to be able to do the patterns where you need more than one or two heddles you can get with a rigid heddle. If you're thinking that you might get a floor loom as well, I would say don't bother, with the rigid heddle. I just do, I don't need to do fancy patterns on the rigid heddle. I'm content to use it for plain weave, although I did do an 8 shaft pinwheel that someone on Ravelry figured out how to do 5 or 6 years ago, just using the one heddle and a pickup stick, for which I used a dollar store plastic ruler. It was very fiddly, but it worked. And then I, just for shits and giggles to see if I could do it, did a twill scarf, a 4 harness twill pattern scarf on the Cricut, and I made heddles from steel and from steel, heddles from string and dowels, and there might be a couple of pictures of that on my Instagram. If you were curious about what the hell I'm talking about. And Shacked didn't retweet it. They reposted that. That was my 15 minutes of fame in the weaving world. So it can be done. It's fiddly and a pain in the ass. If you're going to have a 4 or more shaft floor loom anyway, I wouldn't bother with the fiddliness. But that's just me. If you like to fiddle, by all means. By all means. Some people like to do stuff just to prove that they can, and that's a sort of why I did those things. But, it's that 8 shaft pinwheel on a 8 shaft loom is easy peasy brainless and fast. It was not easy peasy brainless or fast on the rigid heddle loom. And the whole point of the multi-shaft looms is they just make it so much easier to do the complicated patterns. So anyway, if you think you're going to start with the rigid heddle and just have that for a while, then yeah, by all means, experiment your heart out. But then once you have a 4 harness loom or an 8 harness loom, you'll be like, oh, well, we'll just be using that rigid heddle for plain weave. Because to be honest, for just plain weave scarves and plain weave whatever, the rigid heddle is so much easier to set up, than a big floor loom, and you have so much less loom waste, meaning that you don't waste as much yarn. But for everything else, a multi-shaft loom is easier. Does that make sense? Or if I just spewed a bunch of foreign languages at you? And now see, what I need is an 8 harness loom. I do not have an 8 harness loom. The Weaver's Cabin does not have an 8 harness loom. The Guild does, and I can rent that from time to time. But I need to have one that's mine. And that's why I want a baby wolf. Because I can make a baby wolf fit in my house. Now, I could get a bigger and less transportable 8 harness loom by buying something used off of the internet. But I don't have any place to put a bigger loom. And a baby wolf you can fold up with the warp on it and roll it into the corner. Tuck it behind the couch or whatever when you're not weaving. And I had thought that I could, well, geez, I could put it upstairs. I can make room for it in the bedroom. But then it occurred to me that if I do want to take it someplace for a demonstration or use it for a sheep to shawl competition, I wouldn't be able to get it down this up and down the stairs by myself, and maybe not even with with help. So it's going to have to live in the living room. Fiber Mage says, well, that was a bust. And then it looks like the key. That's what it looks like when my cat walks across the keyboard. So what happened? Or didn't happen? I presume this has to do with the shawl. Bama Maid said, just from what I've read and been able to figure out, if I get a floor loom, I now want a big counterbalance or countermarch. I have the room for it. It's just not going to be a mobile thing. Between a counterbalance or a countermarch, I would go with a countermarch. But I might be the only person in I might be the only person who would say that. I have my loom at home as a counterbalance. I have a love-hate relationship with it. I love countermarch. Now, the only countermarch I have experience with is Cranbrook. And to get a new one, Shacked now makes them. And they're very, very expensive. But sometimes you can find an older one. Like if you can find one from the 70s, sometimes you can get a screaming deal. We were given ours. It was donated to the Weaver's Cabin. This woman tried to sell it for a couple of years, and people don't want looms that big, except weirdos like you and me. So she donated it to the Weaver's Cabin. And the woman who's been coming in and helping me set it up bought one, a 60-inch wide Cranbrook loom for like $200. And she needed to order some bits and bobs for it, but she still spent less than $500 on it. So if you could find a Cranbrook, and if the label on the front of it says Bexel, Bexel, that'd be, if that's the kind of loom you're interested in, that's my recommendation. If you can't find a Cranbrook, Glamacra is excellent and not as expensive as a brand new Cranbrook, and you might be able to find an older Glamacra used for a good price. And the nice thing about the countermarch looms is mostly they disassemble down into surprisingly small pieces, and then they reassemble like it's a slots and pegs sort of a configuration. And she says, I know I want, not now. Fiber Maid said, I bought a blocking wire for this lacy shawl to make it easier to block. This shawl has a weird shape, so it didn't work. Oh, man. Yeah, but you'll still use it, right, for other shawls. But I'm sorry that it was a disappointment for this shawl. Fibermate says it has a Pico edge. So only 1 billion points. Do you have enough pins? It's going to be pretty though. It better be, right? If it's going to be that big of a pain in the behind. But yeah, getting back to the countermarch looms, if the weaver's cabin ever decides to part with the Cranbrook that we have, I'm hoping that I get enough notice to have first dibs. I don't think any of the other volunteers would want it, but sometimes they decide to just go ahead and sell something without really giving the volunteers an opportunity to, come up with the cash. Oh, I have been wanting one of the looms on my or wheels on my bucket list is a great wheel, or like sometimes called a walking wheel, that you stand, and rather than having a flyer, it has a metal spike, and that would have been the kind of wheel that Sleeping Beauty would have poked her finger on. Notice I didn't say pricked because, I know y'all. And I've wanted one for a long time. And someone in my guild has one, and he wants $1,500 for it. I'm like, oh no, people give those away. Of course, they don't ever give them away when I'm never in the right place at the right time. We just got an email through the museum of someone locally who has 2 antique wheels, supposedly both in working condition, that they want to sell. One is a flax wheel, which is pretty, but that's not a particular wheel that's on my bucket list. But there's a great wheel. I'm like, oh, from the picture, I can't tell if the spinning head really is all there. So I would have to go look at it. They only want $100. But at the moment, I don't have any money, so I won't have any money until the middle of October. So I'm hoping it's still there. If it's still there, I will inquire if I can come and look at it. Bahama Maid grumbles about Sleeping Beauty and her pokey distaff. Yeah, usually they show Sleeping Beauty with flyer wheels. And on a flyer, and people would come up to me when I'm doing demos, spinning in public or whatever, and want to know, well, where did she pick her finger? It's like, it wasn't this kind of wheel. The people who make the movies don't know what the hell they're talking about. They didn't do the research. And Bama Mate says, all the pins. But if I were to end up buying that, I have to figure out, I'm going to have to make room for it. it'd probably have to go upstairs. But that would mean I would need to unpack some boxes that have never been unpacked in the almost 5 years we've lived here. But that would be awesome for demonstrating at historical events. Bomba Maid said flyer wheels are what they see most often when they search for spinning wheel. They took the silhouette of the fanciest, froofiest wheel they could get and let her touch the pointiest end of it. Yeah. Yep. But they were wrong. Bomba Maid said distaffs are surprisingly fragile. That little girlie comes around trying to stab herself on my distaff. She's going to get beat. She says, I actually need to put my distaff back in storage so it doesn't get broken. Yeah, and if your distaff, was it intact when you got it? Because that's really unusual for a birdcage to still be all there. Bomba Maid said it was intact, but I don't believe it's original to the wheel. Well, that would make sense too. You know, I noticed that since I don't have the white, pristine white cloth on the table trying to work over it, the cat hasn't once tried to get up here tonight. Knots and Stitches said, I'm working on the heel flap. Woohoo! And Bama Maid says, woo! Taki says, pretty yarn. Thank you. I am very, very, very smitten with it. Oh, you guys, I need to ask an opinion. I am finally talking to someone about emotes. And I need to know, what emotes would you guys prefer to have first? I'm thinking of going with, largely the cat. I have 2 slots. Are there particular things that you guys would prefer to have first? Because then as an affiliate, you start out with 1 slot. And then as you accumulate subscribers, you get more slots. The next slot, the third slot, will happen at 25 subscribers, which we're a ways. I've been holding steady at about 17 for the last several months. When we get to 25, we'll get a third slot. But for now, we have two emote slots available, and I think a lot of people like a hype emote, and I don't know what the emotes are for you guys, for the subscribers, and so I want it to be things that you guys would like. One emote that I would like to have eventually is I have a photograph of the cat on the windowsill, peering out the window, and I'd like to have that as an emote. But for the first couple, I want to know what you guys would like. Knots and Stitches said, this pattern is having me do alternating rows of slip one, knit one for knit rows and slip one, purl one for the heel flap. Is this normal? That's pretty much a slip stitch heel flap. Right, what Bauman Maid said, typically what I would see would be a slip one, knit one on the outside of the heel flap and purl across the inside of the part that'll be against your foot. And that gives you a little bit of a cushier heel, a little more padding between your heel and the back of your shoe. Bauman Maid said, I've never purled in the right side, only purled across the wrong side. Basically what I was asking. Yes. Yeah, I agree. I don't think I've ever... the only slip on the purl row is the first stitch and then purl the rest of the way across. The slip one, knit one is slip one, knit one, slip one, knit one all the way across. Does that make sense? And Bauman Maid, and you purple on the wrong side? Thank you, Auto Carrot. Okay, it's break time. So how many of you are going to disappear while I'm on break tonight? Because that seems to be the new normal. Gonna fluff up the rest of this robing a little bit before I get up. Taki says, nah, just lurking. Lurking is always cool. Although the stream is probably more interesting for everybody involved if at least a couple of people talk, or at least one person. Because if there's no conversation, I tend to get quiet too. Bomba Mate said, I'm not gone till my movie is done. What movie are you watching? And you guys, I was serious. Tell me what emotes you want, or I'll just pick something. Taki said my cone of size D Nymo thread came today. You know what? And that's probably going to be a lifetime supply. I have a cone of Nymo thread that I bought. Somewhere around 1990. Secretariat. I have never watched that. Is it good? Should I watch it? Taki said Secretariat is right up there with Far Lap. Horse movies make you cry. Oh, I'm sure it will. I kind of haven't seen a horse movie in a long time. Bomba Mate said, obviously you need a snoring cat. You mean like a cat curled up and snoring? Because we could do that. Nathan Stitches said, I should go to bed, but I want to make progress on the sock. I hear ya. I do that. I stay up way too late because, you know, just a little farther. And Nessa just working away on their project. Balma Mate said, I like it. It makes my eyes leaky and weird, but it's good. Taki said approximately 2,505 yards of nylon thread. And then says, Far Lapa breaks my heart every single time. They were so threatened by this horse, they poisoned him. Real story if you didn't know. No, I'll have to look that one up. Okay, well, I am going to take about a 10-minute break, approximately, and get up and stretch and go to the bathroom and stuff. And then I'll be back and we'll spin some more. Bomba Mate said if you get to the heel turn, either stop or go all the way through it. Don't stop halfway. Yeah, if you go all the heel turn doesn't take very long compared to knitting the heel flap, and I would not recommend stopping in the middle of the heel turn either. Taki said Far Lap and Secretariat are both real stories about legendary horses. I remember when Secretariat won the Kentucky Derby, but I never knew anything about the horse. You know, I don't. So whatever's in the movie is going to be news to me. But yeah, I was the typical, you know, horse-loving adolescent girl. But my family were not horse people, and we didn't have the money to have a horse and stuff. But I did do a little riding in my youth. and and paid attention to things that were going on in the horse world. But I never knew Secretariat stories, so. Okay, I am gonna be back in about approximately 10 minutes, so I'll see y'all's then. Okay. I bumped the camera on the way past, so I think that's pretty close to how it was. Knots and Stitches says you need a sleeping kitty, and other emotes that are unlocked should be a cat doing various fiber things like knitting, spinning, or making yarn barb. Alrighty, I'll keep all those in mind. Mama Maid said when we were showing horses, there were stories of champs having their feet clubbed and stuff. Horse people are barbaric sometimes. I know someone, there's someone in my guild who grew up competing hunters and jumpers. And she has said that, she's said basically the same thing. And she was telling me a story of some horse people in the area where she lived and a vet who all got in very deep doo-doo because they were taking out horses for the insurance money. And that is heartbreaking. Taki said, well, I'll correct myself. Farlap was presumed to have been poisoned, but is also suspected to have died from an infection not caused by poison. So that's a depends on who you ask situation. Taki said it's pretty 50-50 on what people decide is the truth. Bama Maid said we had the great-granddaughter of Secretariat. My parents bought her at auction cheap. Wow. And she says, I remember having to get her off the trailer, and she was the single ugliest horse I ever saw. Oh no, is that why she was cheap? Docky said, hey, not everything breeds down. Maybe some of these Secretariat fillies found an ugly rogue. Bama Maid said nothing but leg, matted and muddy because the weather had been horrible. Taki asked, did she clean up well or still clean up scrappy? Bama Maid said we didn't know her lineage at first, got her papers in, and found out she was straight down from Secretariat on her top side. Taki said that's how I feel about my dog. Wash her and she's still scrappy. Bama Maid said she cleaned up looking like a coyote, but she was a 2-year-old when we got her. She grew into a gorgeous mare. And Taki said, what a phrase, lol. Bama Maid said she had her first foal, beautiful little Palomino filly, and I just can't see for shit tonight. And colicked when the filly was 2 to 3 days old and had to be put down. Oh no. Foal survived. First lap horse ever. And Taki said, oh no. Can't fit in the mommy's lap. Who scares? I can't fit in mommy's lap. Who cares if I weigh 2 tons? Bama Maid said her best friend was a goat. And Taki said, well, goats make best nannies. Bama Maid said she didn't see another horse until she was about 6 months old, and we started bringing the mares and colts up to the house. She would run and hide in her stall, facing the corner, until the mare was done in the field. And the goat did the same thing. Knots and Stitches said, LOL. Bama Maid said the best part was when the goat would have the stall and do these little spinning jumps. The filly would do the same thing, and then they'd race off because she thought she was a goat. Taki said, oh my God, Mom had a dog when she was little, a little girl who would hide his head in the closet during storms and leave his body sticking out. Hashtag, if I can't see you, you can't see me. That's right. Bama Maid said the foot clubbing wasn't for the insurance. It was a rival who kept coming in second to that horse. So the, what was like the ice skater, whose name I can't remember. Tanya Harding, yeah. Yep. Nancy Kerrigan. Yeah, I would not have been able to remember either of their names tonight. Yeah, I am just all out of sorts the last couple of days. My brain is not cooperating. My eyes are all blurred. I think my eyes are all blurred because of allergies. And that might be what's wrong with my brain too. My head's just all congested. But my maid said, ouchies, yep. Yeah, I had intended to watch that Tanya Harding movie, but I never got around to it. Well, my mate said I do rewind the Preakness race in this movie. Annoys Huskies, but it's just such a spectacular race. And the don't fall off comment is big red heart. And Bama Mate said, "Oi, Belmont." Bama Mate said, "I'm turning older this week, damn it." There's been a lot of that going around. A couple of people in here turned older the last couple of days. I've got until December, but it's creeping up on me. So, are you doing anything about it? Got any plans? Just Husby's took the week off so I can stream this week while he helps with school. That's cool. I'm gonna try to not sleep all day the next couple of days. And maybe I can catch your streams. Knots and Stitches says half done with the heel flap. All right. Why is Streamlabs welcoming me to the chat room? I don't understand Streamlabs. Knots and stitches says very thick fabric on the flap. That's why the slip stitch flap is so common, so widely used, because it gives you a little bit of extra cushioning between your heel and the back of the shoe. But I mean, you don't have to. I've done, obviously, like the short row heels don't have that extra thickness. Um, and I've done some regular heel flaps with just stockinette stitch because I usually wear, or most of the time, wear clogs. And so it doesn't rub, I don't have anything rubbing on the back of the heel like that. But I would say, well, I was going to say most of the patterns I ever see. I'll just say the slip stitch heel flap is very, very, very widely used. Unless the sock calls for a short row heel of some sort. And the vast majority and I've been knitting socks since I was a teenager in the 70s. And the vast majority of socks that I have ever knit have had slip stitch heel flaps and have been heel flap and gusset type heels. Hey, Mile High. I'm okay. How are you today? He says, pretty good. Just got done with a long day at work. So, can I ask what kind of work you do? Just out of curiosity. City buses. I know somebody who drives city bus in Pittsburgh. He's a bassoon player by trade. Classically trained bassoon player. Drives city bus. Because, you know, a person's gotta eat. Bama Maid said, my sock note so far from wearing my hand knit socks, since I don't have tons of experience with them. They all work in my tennis shoes, but in my boots I find I prefer an afterthought heel over the heel flap and gusset. The thick fabric of the flap made it actually difficult to get my boots on and off. Well, that's good to know. Oh yeah, I kept saying I was going to try an afterthought heel. Now that I know I don't have to be as scared of cutting the sock. Oh, Bound Maid, I read a very little. I'm at the point where Rachel woke up in Nick's bed after he walked in when Ivy was trying to get her to say yes. And he's explaining to her that she needs to figure out what she wants and doesn't want. So I'm very curious to see where things go from here. Mile High said, a lot of very interesting people in the industry. We have several PhDs, musicians, and whatnot. Very nice people. Yeah, people who have like amazing degrees and skills and talents and can't make a living. You know, at the gallery where I work, most of our artists are people who have a day job or are retired from the day job that they decided they needed to get when they had a family that they had to support, and that art wasn't going to do it. And the handful who've been artists their whole lives, or their whole adult lives, most of them have made ends meet by being, you know, college professors or high school art teachers or whatever. I think I only know one person who is an artist with enough business sense to have been able to build a business that she can live on, and she's a stained glass artist who makes most of her living vending at Renaissance festivals. Bauman Maid said, I finished White Witch Black Curse this morning. It goes sideways a lot. Yeah, I'm still on the second book. I don't even know what number is White Witch Black Curse. Knots and Stitches says talent doesn't pay the bills. Isn't that the truth? Which is why I have, well, at this time, a part-time job. Mile High says most artists are struggling. Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Most artists are struggling. You know, there are very, very few artists who manage to get grants and endowments. Mile High says, that's a shame. So much talent. Yes, it is. It is very much a shame. You know, I was talking to a friend the other night who has an art degree and works in the food industry, which he hates. But he said, you know, it's really hard to find jobs related to his skill set. But now he's been, in management sorts of things and retail long enough that has become his skill set. And it's really frustrating because it doesn't leave him time to make art. Yeah, we have a lot of artists at the gallery who let their art go for a long time, and then now that they're retired, they're back at it. And a lot of artists, it's not unusual for people with art degrees to go back to school and get another degree in another field. And to be honest, that's what I did. And I'm making a lot more money from my fiber work now than I ever did in my youth. And part of that is just that there's more of a market. A lot of people are interested in indie dyed yarns and spinning fibers. And that market didn't exist, 30 years ago. And I think when I finished my bachelor's degree, it was in the early 80s, and there really wasn't much of a market for handmade. Mile High says, indie yarns are very impressive nowadays. Yes, they are. But like in the early 80s, there wasn't that much interest in handmade. And now there is. And people who were interested often didn't understand why the price was so high. Now people have more of an appreciation of handmade, artist-made, artisan-made pieces. Bomba Maid said, "Alrighty, I'm going to head to bed. I will see y'all tomorrow." Alrighty, we'll see you tomorrow, ma'am. Sleep well. Thanks for coming and hanging out. And PhDs too. I wonder how many people with PhDs that aren't marketable are, driving buses and doing all the other completely unrelated things. Most of the PhDs I know are working as college professors. Or doing something related to teaching. And Taki says off to bed. NyQuil's finally hitting. Good night, Taki. I hope the NyQuil helps. We'll see you later. Mile High asks, what are you working on tonight? I am working on, I only have this much left. This lovely stuff, which is Targhee wool, bamboo viscose, and silk. It's absolutely amazing to spin. Bama Maid says, hee, no highs tonight. Taki says, took an hour. Holy cow, wasn't that supposed to take like 15 or 20 minutes? Mile High said, some of my drivers say they like driving because it doesn't require a great deal of thought. Yeah, it leaves your mind free to do whatever your mind wants to do. That's why one of the things about my job is that, I have some responsibilities, but as long as all my responsibilities are met, my boss encourages me to bring in whatever I'm working on. Sometimes I take a spinning wheel, sometimes I knit, whatever I'm working on. Mile High says, oh, soft, huh? Yes, soft and squishy. And I'm thinking it's probably gonna be a woven scarf. Taki says, meds always take a long time for me. Okay, bye. Bye. We'll see you later. Mile High says, good night, Taki. Mile High said, a few lady drivers bring crochet and cross stitch to work for their downtime. I've seen some impressive crafts from them. Nice. Knots and Stitches said, in a lot of creative fields, those who can make a living do, and those who can't teach. It is what my middle school orchestra director always said. I always had heard that just in even a broader sense, those that can do and those that can't teach. But that's not completely true. It's those who can find work in their field to do and those who can't teach. But some people teach for the love of teaching. But you can often tell the difference. You can tell who's teaching because they love teaching. And some do both. I have found in many university art departments that the people teaching the art classes are also working artists, and often they're expected to produce. If you don't produce work, it's like the same thing happens in a lot of departments. If you don't produce some sort of work, you don't get tenure or whatever. Whether you're a research person or an art person or whatever. Mile High said it would be amazing if more people could live off their crafting. Imagine how much more beauty would be out there. That is for sure. But you know, I think we're coming back around to that. Like I said, there's so much more appreciation for handmade now than there was 30 or 40 or 50 years ago. You know, because there was a period of time where, you know, it was believed that machine made was better than handmade. And, you know, now we know that that's not necessarily true. But also, machine made tends to be a lot less expensive than handmade. And it took some decades for people to figure out that, you know, you get what you pay for. Mile High said anyone who's ever worn home knit socks knows the difference. Yeah. Absolutely. There is such a difference between hand knit socks and store-bought socks. Mile High says crafting can be very satisfying, um, especially gifting a home crafted item. Yeah, bad typing today. Um, yeah, we get of a lot of typos and autocorrects, auto incorrects. Knots and Stitches said, I'm 20 rows into the heel flap. Pattern says it needs to be 25, and phone is trying to die on me. I think I'm going to call it a night. Alrighty. We'll see you later, ma'am. Thanks for coming and hanging out with us. And when you head to bed, sleep well and good rest. And we'll see you later. Mile High, absolutely not. No, about this time of night sometimes. Actually, about the time I get back from break sometimes, people just get really quiet, and if people are really quiet, I feel silly just talking to myself, you know. It's easier if there's somebody participating in a conversation. Mile High says it's nice in this room. Seems like nice people. Yes, it is. I'm a very pleased and humbled by the quality of people who choose to come and hang out when I'm streaming. A lot of good people. Now, last night stayed chatty right up to the end, but it was like more people came in, you know, late than usual. It says, I think it would be a good place to knit and chat a bit. Well, you are more than welcome to hang out and knit and chat. He says, I've hit the loss of mojo with knitting lately. You know, I do that sometimes. I've kind of done it with weaving, you know, over the last 6 months. Just haven't had it in me. And I need to get some done. I've got lots of things I need to weave. He says, I understand that. Not weaving, but in general. Yeah. Well, you know, this last 6 months has been really weird. And, you know, I would have thought, you know, I was off work from the middle of, well, off everything, you know. None of the stuff I usually do was happening from the middle of March until I didn't go back to work until the second weekend of June. And so I had all that time. I could have been getting all this stuff done, and you know, nothing to show for it. Normally I can't wait to cast on, but lately, yeah, you need something to spark your interest. Well, maybe hanging out here will help. Did the pandemic change things for me? Well, You know, in an existential way, yes, very much. A friend and I were talking recently about how this whole situation has sort of shown us who our friends really are, and whose opinions we should value and whose we should disregard. Um, you know, I mean, it's become very easy to see who among us cares about other people and who doesn't, just based on behaviors. They don't even have to say a word, just the way people are behaving through all of this. And I would say that's the biggest thing that changed. And a lot of plans changed. I haven't been home to see my family in Michigan in a couple of years, and my husband and I had planned to go up this summer. And, that obviously changed. And still, I don't know how long and I've got friends there that I haven't seen and would like very much to see, in addition to family. And, things are. Things got better and then they got worse and then they got worse again. And, and right now, they're like, now see, in Pennsylvania, it's hard to find this kind of information. You have to really dig hard. Michigan puts it right out there. As of today or Monday, in Michigan, there are 18 counties that are in the orange or the red as far as new cases go. And one of the counties I would like to go to is in the orange. And I'm sorry, I have too many health risks. Actually, I have too many health risks to travel right now anyway, because, if I did go, I would be driving on the turnpike, the Ohio Turnpike, and having to stop at rest areas that bazillions of people also stop at. And, should I really trust that any surfaces I need to touch really are clean? I don't know. I'm going to be staying put for a while. Yeah, you've got to be so careful. And especially since there are a lot of people who don't think they need to be careful. So who knows what they're leaving all over the place. And there are places I would like to go, but I don't feel safe going because other people don't care. I was saying earlier, a couple of friends last week invited me to go with them to lunch. And I was like, no, I'm not ready to go to a restaurant. Restaurant is like the number 2 place where you're most, on the list of places you're most likely to be exposed. Bars are number 1 and restaurants are number 2. And it drives me crazy that my husband and stepdaughter both work in a restaurant. Fortunately, they're back in the kitchen, and so they're not really coming into contact with the customers, but still. Well, I said, that's for sure. I sincerely hope they stay safe, and you too. I like y'all already. Well, thank you. You too. I mean, how are things out there in, like, on your day-to-day work basis? Are people pretty cool? They get on your bus, or are they being obnoxious? Or I haven't had much issue with, like, when I only work 3 days a week. And most people who come in there have been very respectful. But we can tell them, you can't be in here without a mask. We don't have, because we're a private company, a private business, we don't have to honor. If somebody says, I can't wear a mask, I have a medical exemption, we can tell them, well, then you can't be in here. We can arrange a curbside pickup for you. But, frankly, if somebody is so medically fragile that they can't wear a mask, they're too medically fragile to be out congregating with people without wearing a mask. Mile High says, more obnoxious than not. Public transportation is about what you'd think. We can't tell people they can't be on our buses. Ugh. Well, keep yourself safe. Keep yourself safe as best as you can. Says it's a daily struggle. Well, and when I started streaming in February, so, before all this really started, and there are people, Twitch people, both streamers and, people who would hang out, who I haven't seen since shortly after the quarantine started. And, I don't have any way to contact them, because they're not logging into Twitch, and they're not logging into their Discords. And, I don't know if they're okay. Mile High said, many of my family and friends are nervous to have me over because of what I do for a living. It's understandable, but a bummer. Just the same. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, one of my friends who refuses to wear a mask was offended because I wouldn't ride in the car with her. Said, sorry, doctor's orders. Mile High said, I'm ready for this to pass. Me too. And it's very frustrating that, what I'm hearing is expect for this to be around until like 2022. And I know so many people who make the whole of their living vending at festivals and events, craft shows and stuff, who haven't had any income since, whenever, because everything has been canceled. And some of them are being told by their venues, don't expect anything next year either. So, they're looking at, most of this year without any shows, and possibly all of next year without any shows. There are already huge events that are canceled that are well into next year. Yes, those some of them have been able to begin to build up an online presence and sell things online. So that helps some. But even Plays in the Mud or Play in the Mud, Polly Studios, she's a potter who streams here on Twitch. Her husband was, I was chatting with him in somebody else's stream, and he said they're down about half of their income. They have been selling a lot through, getting a lot of orders through their stream and through their website. but their income's down about half for the year. But there was no real way to prepare for this. There wasn't. There absolutely wasn't. We had no, and we thought, my boss and I, they're going to close us and we'll be closed for a couple of weeks. No idea that it was going to still be like this. And then, as the year was wearing along, I assumed that, my summer events, our July events and August events, no problem. Everything will be cool by then. But no. And I am the weaver on my spinning and weaving guild's sheep to shawl team. We do competitions and demonstrations, and our biggest competition of the year is the first week of January at the Pennsylvania Farm Show in the state capitol, and it's already been canceled for January. So, which is kind of okay because, we'd be needing to start getting our shit together, the team, and practicing about now. Because a lot of work goes into preparing for a sheep to shawl competition, and, it's not going to happen. Says, maybe there will be a silver lining, I can hope. I hope so. Says, I'm taken to cutting my own hair. Yikes, I'm glad I have a hat. I had no idea next year was already being canceled. I don't know if everything is being canceled. A lot of things are. And here in my little town, our museum puts on this, they call it a German Christmas market, and it's similar to the little Christmas markets that small towns in Germany have. Well, I guess even some big cities have them. And there are a lot of vendors. There's there's food, there's entertainment. There's groups of German dancers and German musicians and stuff like that. And it's a really big deal in my town. My town has about a population of about 800, and this market brings in 5,000 people or so over the course of 2 days. And they can't do it. We're the phase that Pennsylvania is in right now. The maximum number of people you can have at an outside event is 250. And they scratched their heads and tried to figure out how they could make it work, and there's just no way. So they've started doing vendor markets every Saturday. This past Saturday was the third one, and they'll go through November, I want to say 13th. But, I'm not sure that even that's a good idea. People have been pretty good about wearing masks, but it's drawn, a lot of people. We're still under the numbers that are allowed. As we get closer to the end of the year, I'm not sure that'll still be the case. I suspect it's going to draw bigger crowds. But anyway, so they're trying to do that at least to bring people into town and to try to help the vendors, the artists, because it's artisan vendors. It's not like flea market vendors. Everything people are selling is handmade, and it's I was going to say vetted. It's not vetted. It's not juried necessarily, but it's they don't accept just everybody. You have to display a quality of work, and your booth has to look professional. So but they're trying to help. Because our little town, a lot of our little businesses are dependent on people coming into town. So they're doing that. So at least there's that. And I some of the artists who have work at the gallery where I work are coming in and vending, or setting up a booth for these Saturday markets. And I was talking to one of them the first weekend, and she said, even if I don't sell very much, it'll be more than I would have sold if I wasn't here. She said, I would be just sitting at home. So if I sell anything, it was worth coming. Because I was worried, it's like, what if people don't come out to shop? But we're getting some. Some of the vendors are doing real well. Some are not doing as well. Some of the higher price points. But again, a lot of it, a lot of people are feeling like money's a little tight. And when money's tight or the economy isn't so good, people buy a lot of functional art. Like at the gallery, they'll buy handmade soap and pottery and jewelry. When money's flowing a little more freely, then they buy things that are purely decorative, paintings or prints that hang on the wall or, stuff. So I think that's the difference between the artists who are doing well at these Saturday markets and those who aren't, is how functional the work is and whether people feel like it's justifiable to spend the money on it. So my work is mostly pretty functional. So although actually the most of what I've been selling the last few months at the gallery has been masks. My boss asked me I made masks for my family, for my household, and I made masks for my boss and her husband pretty early on. And she asked me to make up a bunch and bring them in. So, and then when we found out the schools were going to go back, live, she said, okay, people are asking about kids' masks. So I made up a bunch of kids' masks. So now she's like, well, can you do Halloween masks and Christmas masks? I was like, yeah, just got to go to the fabric store. So, well, we've got like half an hour left, and I ran out. I got to the end of my roving. We could call it a night early, or I could put the Be Right Back screen back up, move camera around, and maybe do some knitting. So how are y'all feeling? Anybody besides Mile High really here, or is everybody asleep? Let's see who it says is here. Got lots of lurkers tonight. It's up to you guys. Mile High says, he, that is nice, though. I'm going to call it a night myself. It's nice talking to you, though. It's nice talking to you, too. Thanks for coming and hanging out. It'd be great if you keep coming back. And, we'll be here, plugging away, doing whatever, working on projects. And see if nobody else answers. He says, maybe tomorrow I cast something on. Woohoo! Do you knit socks? Or do you knit other kinds of stuff? You had mentioned socks. You'll come back and see if I'm here. I'm typically here from about 11 p.m. Eastern till about 3 a.m. Eastern. Like last night I was about 20 minutes late because I just was doinking around and not paying attention to what time it was. And I wasn't set up in time. But I aim for 11 to 3, except for on Sunday through Wednesday, and Thursday night 11 till 2 Eastern. So, unless, power outages or internet outages or whatever. He says no socks, shawls, scarves, hats, cardigans, things like that. Well, maybe we can get you sucked. You hang out here long enough, maybe we can get you sucked into making socks. Because they're wonderful. Um, okay. Well, if you need to take off, that's fine. And I think I'm going to move stuff around and maybe knit for the last half hour. And then if anybody really is here, then if somebody, ran off to the bathroom, they won't come back and wonder where the heck I went. Mile High says, yeah, haha, okay, it's a deal. All right. We're going to drag you down the rabbit hole. And says, good night, have a good night. Good night, too. Have a good night. Have a good day tomorrow. Stay safe. Stay as safe as you can. Because, everybody needs to stay safe. Okay, I'm going to put the Be Right Back screen on, so if anybody's in here, I won't make them seasick or cause a seizure moving cameras around. Back in a few moments. Clunk, bang, boom. Moving cameras, if anybody's here wondering what the heck I'm doing or where I went. I was spinning and ran out of roving, so I'm gonna do some knitting. Okay. See how we're doing. Why? Why does the camera... My camera appears to have frozen up. Okay, let's see. There we go. Camera is crooked. Okay, close your eyes. And you probably don't want to see the keyboard. Okay, we're gonna start something with that. Let's see. Perhaps another pair of kid mittens. And what the heck, camera? Okay, good enough, I guess. Okay, I need to look quickly at my mitten cheat sheet. Okay, we're going to cast on 28. Two, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Oh wait, hang on. I've already forgotten. $28, so that should be 14. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. One, 2, knit 2, purl, 2, knit 2, purl, 2, knit 2, purl, 2. Oh, you know what? I have a different idea. We're gonna knit a quart mason jar cozy. find my cheat sheet for that. "56 stitches." Okay, let's start again. Two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 4, 5, 6, 27, 28, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, and 28. Knit 2, and then we'll knit 2, purl 2, rib for a little while. See what my cheat sheet says. 7 rows. We might do a few more rows than that. Hmm. Somewhere through here, I got off on something. Oh, found it. Okay. I better be honest and hit the counter. That's, well, rats. Two, pearl two, knit two, pearl two, knit two, pearl two. Okay, so apparently I dropped a stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 18, 19, 21, 22, 24. Yep, I dropped a stitch. Okie dokie, people. I don't know if any of you are still there or if everybody's fallen asleep. It's been quiet for a while. But this is going to be the end for tonight. So, well, that's the beginning of come on, focus. There it goes. Of oh good, now I'm not focused down here. Come on. You can do it. Or maybe it can't. Come on. Mason jar cozy, and which is good for carrying your beverage around. And anyway, I'll be back tomorrow night, barring any what do you call them, unforeseen circumstances. And from about 11 p.m. Eastern Time in the U.S. till about 3 a.m. Eastern Time in the U.S. Not sure what we'll be doing. Somebody asked about socks, so maybe I'll get out my Hermione socks. They're kind of dark though, so I'm not sure how they're gonna work on camera. I'll give it a try, and before stream and see how they look. And if not, we just might work on this. So anyway, thank you. Thank you all for coming in and hanging out tonight. I love you, and making the world a better place. I will talk to you later. Good night.